Hi, this is Amory Zanzel and my colleague Anna Empey from Business Inspired Solutions. We are here to give you, it's a 5 day business challenge, but we actually call this our bonus day because we're going to talk about making your offer. And so Anna will be in charge of all of that today. And so super excited to hear what she has to teach us today. Hi, Anna. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here, and I'm really excited to show you guys a little bit about the nuances of an offer because this is really what determines your ability to be successful in sharing what you bring to the world. If you can't do this, really hard to be successful in business.
Yeah, absolutely. And so just a little housekeeping details. My goodness, I can't speak. I've already taped 2 podcasts today already, so my ability to put a coherent sentence together is a little a little lacking right now. So if you want to be seen on Facebook and have your comments be seen by us so we know who you are, please go to streamyard.com// Facebook, and you'll be able to tell them who you are, because if you don't, then all we see is Facebook user, and so we don't know who is commenting on us. And I'm going to drop a link for you to make an appointment for Purposeful Empowerment into the chat as well on Facebook. And so we're going to start now. So I would like to tell you a little bit about us. We're doing day 5, as I said, and we're talking about making a powerful offer today. And I'm going to skip
Okay, so
over
I said
this
let's group
because
together.
we did this earlier in the week. So, who am I? My name is Amory Zanzel. I'm a graduate of Yale Divinity School. I'm a graduate of the Women's Leadership Institute from Hartford Seminary. I'm an ordained minister in the Progressive United Church of Christ. I am a clinically trained chaplain. I am a bereavement counselor, an adult and development and training expert. I used to work for Girl Scouts and I did a lot of adult development back in the day. I also have a diversity training certificate from Girl Scouts USA. I am the owner of 2 businesses, Emory Zanza Coaching and Purposeful Empowerment. And a little side note, I'm a general contractor. I have flipped 3 houses. So I actually like construction. It gives me a lot of joy. And I am a hospice chaplain. I'm, I guess, a serial entrepreneur. So this is my professional side. And my personal side, there's so many more details, but we're going to just focus on the professional side today. And so now here's a little bit about Anna.
Yeah, so I grew up on a 1,000-acre apple orchard in the middle of rural Washington. I was born an entrepreneur. I learned people skills and selling skills at farmers market. I made a joke yesterday that I've been selling things since I was 4 years old. It's true. Got the little newspaper clipping. So been up to crazy good things too, because those sales all went to support a local nonprofit in our area. My mom really raised me to be a giver, which is great. And also the religion I was raised in. I was raised Mormon, and I graduated from BYU in sociocultural anthropology with a minor in communications. After I graduated, I worked up the ladder from a marketing assistant to a marketing director to a co director with a focus on health and wellness. I have volunteered hundreds of hours to grow nonprofits using those same business and marketing skills. I started Business Inspired Solutions in 2019 to bring the processes and systems that I created for me to end those businesses to be successful, but also to help businesses with the mission to bring their dream and vision into reality. I built a small team. We currently just added another person, so that's 6 people. And we work with a wide variety of service based businesses and a few brick and mortar businesses. Ultimately, I'm super passionate about leaving the world better than I found it. And I do believe the best way to do that is to empower people who have businesses, because we all interact with businesses quite a few times a day. So if we can be great at business and other people can be great at business, that will leave a very big impact, particularly if we're really genuine about who we are. So I'm very excited. Oh, go ahead, Anne Marie.
I was going to say absolutely. I
Mhm.
apologize for interrupting you.
Oh, no, you're good. So today I'm excited because we talked a little bit about your branding and your website yesterday. So we're going to talk about this same formula, that know, the like, and the trust, and how it applies to make an offer. So the first part of this, if you know who you are and what you can provide, and you like what you do, and you trust that you can deliver, then you can make a really great offer. Okay, that is that formula. Now, here, go ahead and go back one more slide, Anne Marie.
Sure. I apologize. We're skipping over here for some
Yeah,
reason.
no, it's all good. I just want to make sure people get the
Oh,
information
there
fully.
we go. Oh, there you go. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, that's
Okay.
perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah. So once you have clarity on what you do and you know what that is, and you like what you do and you trust that you can deliver, it's important that you look at your audience. How are you serving your audience? Now, when you're really clear on what that is, sometimes other people struggle to be clear on what it is that you provide. So there's some things you need to consider. The first thing to consider is, what is the decision making style of your audience? Now, there's a few questions you can look at. If they're humanistic, right up here in this top left hand corner, that's more of an emotional decision and it might be a little bit slower. That means it might take a few months for someone to really be able to trust you and know you as a person. This is where having your face and reviews and people information, your about page, that's going to be super, super important. They want to know who you are and be connected to you. Okay, if that's their primary way. If they, if all people, let me back up a second, all people have a primary and a secondary way, right? So another way that someone would make a decision is in that faster emotional space. And that's that why. Why? If you have ever been around a 5-year-old, you know that their favorite question to ask is why. And once you answer their why, that and they're satisfied with that, what do? They stop talking and they're satisfied and they walk away. Now, you don't want your client to just walk away, but if you go deep enough on your why, for the people who are spontaneous, they're going to say, I'm in, let's go, and they want to keep walking. So they're going to make that decision a little bit quicker. So you want to make sure you go deep into your why and why they, as your audience, need what you provide. Okay. That next one in this bottom right hand corner, charismatic. What do you do for me better than other options? As humans, we like to compare a lot of things. Okay. Also, I'm the kind of person that if I'm going to invest money in myself, I want to make sure it matches exactly what I need. So it's not necessarily that it has to be better than other options, but I want to make sure that where I'm investing is actually what I need. It's like, why would I buy a new car when I actually want a motorcycle? I would rather get the motorcycle. Same kind of thinking here. So you want to make sure you're very clear on the what. What do you do and what does it look like? What are the expectations and what is going to happen if I invest in it? Those are the kind of questions you need to make sure you answer about your offer. Now, this last one in the corner, methodical. These are the people who read every word on your website, every review, scroll down your Facebook page. This, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, I met with someone that said, Anna, I read every page on your website and you're exactly what I need. And I was like, great. Do you have any questions? They did have a few questions and how it applied to them, but they knew what I did and what it would look like. So that was a very different conversation. Okay. The next time I met with that person, because they had to go and look back and look at the logistics of things, they said, well, I decided to scroll down your Facebook page for the last 2 years. And
That's a methodical person.
that is a methodical person. And what's funny is it's totally okay. Now, some people are like, oh my gosh, I can't stand people like that. But what I'll say is that's just a way that they make the decision. And if you can match your content to help people make that decision in your offer, on your website, and you go deep enough in each of these 4 areas, then you will be able to serve anyone who has these challenges that you provide solutions to, as long as you help them know what they need to make the decision.
Can I ask you, when somebody has an ideal audience, are the decision making style of their ideal audience are they typically similar?
I would say yes, they are going to be very similar, right? For me, my decision making style is humanistic, and the people who stick around and who work with me the longest, they're primarily humanistic. Their secondary kind of floats and changes, but it really kind of depends. But that's also why I do recommend you talk to your audience, because you want to get clear. Well, what are the questions you have for me? Whatever questions come out of their mouth will tell you which one of these categories they fall into. And if you look at your ideal clients, Emery, they have something pretty similar.
Yeah, my ideal clients with each business that I have with purposeful empowerment and also with coming with Lotus Group coaching, they are definitely emotional. They're definitely humanistic. They're
Mhm.
slow, emotional decision makers because, especially with Lotus Group coaching, my ideal client is someone who's making a major life change,
Mhm.
and a lot of times it takes people a while to realize that they need support when they're having that major life change.
Absolutely. So knowing and understanding that all four of those components need to be part of your messaging is game changing, because that's more helpful as as a psychographic than a demographic.
Right.
So you just want to make sure you answer those questions. Okay, now to this next point. A powerful offer is designed to help meet an audience where they are in the decision making process and move them to the decision of yes or no. Yesterday we looked at the same funnel graphic here. We have that sale and that offer connection. We've got that ultimate decision, consideration, and awareness. A powerful offer is going to help bridge and answer somebody who knows very little about what you're up to and take them all the way to, are you interested in making an offer? So we have a cool process that we work with you on. Um, it's called a two-step, a really powerful two-step that uses and bridges a story. Anne-Marie, we did with this with you when we were working on some ads for you. Do you remember when we worked on that story, making that
Mhm.
offer? Yeah, that
Yes.
bridged that gap all the way from, I don't, maybe this is something I need, to, yes, here's how you need it. And then people will weed themselves out based on if they actually need it or not. You want to empower them to make that decision.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's make a deal. Make me an offer. So we're going to get into the details, the components of an offer. You want to answer these questions. What are you providing? How does it work? How do they get to the results? They want to know the pathway to get to the result. Even when it's humanistic, someone wants to know, what is it going to look like with you working alongside me? So if you work alongside them, you want to be clear with that. Okay. Now, where a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of offers fall flat is people make it about themselves and they forget to make it about their audience. So, this next question is super important. What's possible working with you, through you, for them? What is the benefit to them? If it's not clear how you're serving them, then they will say no. If it's not clear that it's something they need and you are the one that can help provide that, they will say no. Okay. You also want to get clear. What are the direct and indirect benefits? One of the indirect benefits of working with me is that I'm going to be one of your biggest cheerleaders. Maybe that's a direct benefit for some people, but I'm always here in your corner to support you. And I know Anne Marie is the same way. That's an indirect benefit that probably has a direct impact on you. Okay. You also want to be clear, what's the goal of the offer? If you're having a hard time answering what's possible working with you or through you for them, you want to look at, what's the purpose? What's your purpose? And I will say it's important that it's more than just making money. Now, I'm not so worried about that. We are very heart centered here. We're very committed to making a difference, right? Okay. The other thing you want to look at is, who are they? What are they motivated by? What makes it unique for them? And then, is there anything else that they need to know in order to make their decision? Okay, so those are some of those basic components.
Let's go to the next slide now.
Yeah. Now, when we look at what you are providing, you want to make sure you give them all the deets. Okay. You also want to give them some main points paired to their specific needs. Okay. Who here? Okay. I know maybe you're not here, but who here is super detail oriented? Okay. There are some people, that's the methodical people, but even that spontaneous and charismatic person need the details. Okay. You also want to look at, yeah, why are we doing this to this? Is it a means to an end? What's the end? The next one is, how does it work? What are the expectations? What's the logistics, the timeline, the steps, and the process? If they don't see a clear pathway of how it's going to go, then they won't walk the path to say yes.
Mhm. And so it sounds like that you have to have a lot of clarity in your mind before you are able to make your offer. If you don't have clarity about all this stuff, like if you can't answer these questions when Anna asks these to you, or I ask you, or even if you're just working on your own, then it'll be really hard to craft an offer that people will understand.
Right. And it's really hard. Some people are like, and I've been making offers for years, been making
Hmm.
offers for years, but I'm not selling anything.
Hmm.
Well, there's typically two or three reasons for that. Reason number one, it's not actually clear to the audience, which
Hmm.
leads to option number two, 9 times out of 10, it's not clear for you. And then option number three is you're struggling to be confident or have that belief in what you provide so that you can have the confidence to make that clarity. Okay.
Hmm.
So that's one of the reasons why purposeful empowerment exists, is to help you put those things in place so you can make these offers, you can make a difference.
Hmm.
Okay, the other component of looking at it a little bit deeper, what's possible working with you for them? Direct and indirect benefits. Okay, some direct benefits people get when they work with me. If they decide to sign up and get a website, they absolutely get their website. On the side benefit, they're going to get their branding. And if they need a logo, they get a logo. That's going to be indirect benefits of directly purchasing a website or working on a website together. You also want to get clear, what are they looking for? You know, if
Hmm.
you've got people who've tried a bunch of things out there and they still haven't found what they need, what are they looking for? Okay. Also, what's their dream result? Can you actually provide that to them? And what's their ultimate goal? Like in purposeful empowerment, we know your dream result is to be able to make a difference in the world and have a business that's profitable and sustainable. And we are very confident we can actually provide that to you. Uh, and we know that your goal aligns with our goals.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I also like to say, Anna, one of the indirect benefits from working with you is that you really truly care about your clients and your customers. I think that's one of the things that, both Anna and I have businesses that help other people, but we really do care about our clients. And like, I have had plenty of time where people have been done with my program for years, but will reach out to me and say, hey, can you talk? And I will spend a half an hour talking with them because I care, and I care about everybody that I have worked with, and I care about their success. And my success is not about, especially with the Lotus Group coaching, is not about business. It's more about personal success, right? And so, I think that's one of the benefits, that the indirect benefits is that we have two entrepreneurs that are working with you that really care about you and your success, whether it is personally or professionally.
Absolutely. And I think it's important, just like we can share that with clarity when you're making your offer. If you're not sure what that is, it's important you get clear. And if you're
Mhm.
afraid to own the way that you can serve people, or if you're struggling with the words, that tells me do a little looking at yourself. You do make a difference. You do matter. You are up to something that's making the world a better place, whether you see it that way or not yet. And that's okay.
Yeah, that takes a while.
It can take a while.
Mhm.
Now, this next thing, who are they? As in, who is your audience? So, going back to what's their decision making style? What are their thoughts and feelings about their current experience and where they want to be, or how the product helps them? If I've got somebody who has worked with lots of website people before or other marketers before, and they have a really bad taste in their mouth if I do not address those concerns that, yes, I did not give them that experience, but people in my industry may have. Guess what? I have to have that conversation to help them know I hear what you're saying and I don't do it that way. Or here's how we do it different. I've got to be willing to put some skin in the game on the table to help them know I see who they are, I respect their concerns and challenges, and that will help them see how it's valuable to them because I care about them.
Mhm.
Uh, the next thing is does it solve my problem by being their problem? Is it easier to pay for it than to deal with the pain of not having it? Now, in sales, over the years, I've learned it's not my job to make someone experience more pain, but it
Mhm.
is my job to get clear. What are they experiencing that they don't like about their life, that they don't like about why they potentially would purchase this thing? Or what solution they're looking for. So, this is the question that this person is asking when they're sitting on a phone call with you or when they're reading your stuff. Does this solve my problem? Is it easier to invest in this or pay for this than to deal with the pain of not having this problem solved? That's a different way to look at it. But if you can understand that experience and have some empathy, it will totally change your ability to make an offer and have a conversation.
Mhm.
Okay. Now I'm going to say value is perception. Okay. I'm also going to say that what people believe is true for them. If I believed that the sky was purple with every ounce of my being, no one could make me believe it differently. So that truth and that value is a perception. So what happens if people say no to you? What if they say it's too expensive? What if? Now, sometimes when we go to make an offer, or we go to have a sales conversation, or we go to share what we're up to, we get kind of stuck in our head a little bit. What I'm going to say is two things. When no is present, it's not a no to you as a person. Remember how we separated our identity and the business identity just a little bit yesterday? It's not you that they're saying no to. It's a no to what you offered. Now that doesn't mean you can't help them or serve them or provide that value, but it does mean if it didn't meet their need either logically or emotionally, they don't see the value. So that just tells me we need to work on your delivery, your ability to share. And I actually want you to switch your what if to what if I could serve them in this way? That's why sometimes you're going to have a few different offers and a few different styles of offers because people have specific needs. And to know the way that you price those things and how that works to create something customized, super, super important you have that clarity and the confidence to be visible about what you provide.
I actually had somebody say to me this week, "Oh, that's so expensive." And I was like, first of all, that doesn't happen very often, because I feel like my what I offer in Lotus School Coaching is priced to the market. And she said that to me, that's too expensive. And I was like really confident about it. I was like, well, if you had two therapy appointments, it would cost more than what I am charging for 1 month of my services. And you also get you also get individual coaching, but you also get the opportunity to be in a group and be with other people who really understand what you are going through. So I did not take it personally. I just answered her question, and I really just did have an attitude of, well, if she buys, great, because I know I can help her. But if she doesn't buy, that's okay too. And I didn't take any of it personally. And I'm going to say, like, everything that Anna and I are talking about sometimes just takes a little while as you become a more experienced business owner. You learn not to take things as personally as you did in the beginning.
Yeah, I think the other part too is like if that's coming up a lot, like if 10 or 20 people tell you it's too expensive,
Then you
uh,
have to pay
then
attention.
you really should look at it.
Right.
But one or two people, those are the exception. And I'm not somebody who's a fan to say, oh, we actually should change our whole offer because one person doesn't like it. No,
Right.
it's actually really important that you keep clear, like, this is what I can provide, and this is how it does need to look. And as you sell it, you might sell it. And when I first started, I made an offer and I sold it. And I talked a little bit about this yesterday. I sold it and then I said, oh, actually, I didn't like how the way this piece worked. So I'm going to change it and make it better for me and
Mhm.
for my clients. And then it's going to evolve. You're going to evolve over time as you go. Um, Now, I'm going to also say some common objections don't have to be common.
Mhm.
What I mean is, it's too expensive. That takes too much time. I've got to talk to my spouse. I need to think about it. Just so you know, all of these are indications that they need more information and clarity about those questions they have in making their decision further up in the process. Okay.
Mhm.
Great. Some people, and I get it. Sometimes people are like, yes, I can put my pricing out there. And sometimes people are like, no, they got to talk to me to look at the price. But
Mhm.
I'll say this, when I've got clarity, even if it's a range, because not every website looks the same, Anne Marie.
No,
Some
absolutely.
websites, it's going to cost 15K, and some websites, it's going to cost 5K. But having that clarity makes and changes the difference, because then the people are like, oh my gosh, it's way too expensive. But actually, I really need to solve this problem and I really need this to look this certain way. That means you do have to have some bold conversations. It means you've got to really own the way that you're unique and different. But when you have those conversations sooner, by the time they get on the call with you, that it's not a sticker shock. It's not that craziness. So clarifying what that looks like. Now, the other thing I'm going to say is I need to talk to my spouse. This is sometimes can be a fun one, because guess what? Me and my wife were business partners, and she's also my wife. We have some rules in our relationship, as many people do around money, that we've agreed upon. You know, if I'm going to spend more than $500 as a person, I have to talk to her. If I'm going to spend more than $1,000 in our business, I have to talk to her. And we have that set. Now, I've even had some coaches be so bold to say, okay, cool. Could you talk to her right now? I'm going to turn my screen off. I'm going to turn you on mute and me on mute, and then I'll come back. Now, that was a really bold, gutsy coach that I worked with a few years ago. But guess what? I did have the time, and we did sit there and we decided not to do it. And
Mhm.
that was okay. So there's logistics and things that actually need to be there, but you want to make sure that you're actually addressing that head on. If somebody says, Anna, I need to think about it. I say, okay, well, what do you need to think about? What are the things are there for you that I haven't talked about? Because that's all they're saying. Even sometimes I need to talk to my spouse. They haven't, they may not have the guts to say, I need more clarity. So those are two ways that they'll say they need clarity. So two questions that I ask people is, well, what do you think your spouse would need to know? Have we covered everything? Because I believe it's my job to make sure you have everything you need to make your decision. And
Right.
then
Oh, I'm sorry.
afterwards, the people say, I still need to think about it and I still need to talk to my spouse. I say, great, let's schedule a follow up appointment so you have time to do that.
Mhm.
And that's also a little gutsy. But what happens is I give them the space, I give them the information, and they can go and choose and make that decision.
And another strategy people use is if you have someone who has to help you make this decision about this financial, this financial decision, please have them on the call, because then you, like, say, for example, if you are typically doing something and where people are always talking about have to talk to their spouses, then I would advise you invite the spouse to be on the call. So then then that objection is eliminated. And so it's really helpful to, once you've had a bunch of sales calls, you start to learn what the objections are. And so then you can address them before you have the sales call.
Right. Absolutely. Well, and you'll know how to handle it as you go on, right? And it can be scary the first few times those happen, but really it's about being with the person and hearing what their concern is and really being committed to making sure they have the information that they need.
Mhm.
Okay. So, looking back at this, your main service or product offer is going to be where they decide to make a purchase or decision. That's going to be that gate. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, and again, your offer starts with your branding. So, making sure you're answering those questions way up here so that they know what it is. They like the possibility and the solutions that they see, and they trust that you can deliver. That's going to be where you're going to want to make sure you include reviews and building content, not just here like, okay, I posted my offer one time and it was very direct on social media. Great, wonderful. No, make sure you're educating and you're providing that value and you're sharing the experiences of other people. Now, what if you don't have reviews? That's where you got to own and talk about those direct and indirect benefits of working with you. And like we've said, it can take time to know that, but it's okay if it takes time. And when you're in a community like Purposeful Empowerment, it makes it easier to start seeing what's so a little bit quicker.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Now, offers can be made everywhere because really, if I said, "Hey, Anne Marie, do you want to get a coffee with me?" That's technically an offer. Now,
Mhm.
I didn't have to say, "Here's the direct and indirect benefits of getting a coffee."
Or I'll say, "I have to ask my wife."
Right, you didn't say that, but technically that is an offer.
Right.
When you're putting and sharing it or inviting anyone to do anything with us, it's an offer. And if you go back to the principle that if someone says no to you, they don't see the value. Now, in my personal life, if people say no to me and they don't see the value, I don't typically tend to go and spend a lot more time there doing things. Sometimes I will, and sometimes I won't. It depends on who it is. Okay. Now, if you're looking here, we'll come back to this. Every step involves decisions and opportunity costs.
Mhm.
Okay. A call to action is an offer. A social media post is an offer. Like I said, an invitation to get coffee or lunch is an offer. An invite to a Facebook group. Joining this challenge was an offer. Thanks for taking us up on it. Thanks for being here in the group. Okay. Signing up for a service or purchasing a product. Okay. And
Mhm.
there's going to be those calls to action. Learn more is an offer. Get started. Schedule a discovery call. Read this blog. Sign up for this free PDF guide. You'll see all the little components inside of this decision making process if you look deep enough. Okay, now the other thing I'm going to say, no one is required to say yes to your offer.
Mhm.
The key here is to create offers that align with you and the audience that you want to serve, that align with your values, that something you're passionate about, something that you love, that makes a difference for the people you want to serve.
And
That's what makes a big difference.
and also too, you can do absolutely everything right. And for some reason, and it's like it's just not the right time for people. Like in my Lotus group coaching, sometimes I do everything right, but people aren't ready because people have to take a major life step. They're just not ready to do it yet. Or they're just too scared, or they're still in a very indecisive mood. And so I really like how I deal with that for myself too. Is it's I don't take it personally, and I also point them to the direction of more resources because I have the podcast and stuff. I'll say, hey, listen to the first two episodes of the podcast. It's really super helpful, and honestly, I have had people come back time and time again. Or I've had people leave my program and then come back and sign up for another 6 months, and those are the sweetest deals because they just really call you up and say, hey, can I come back? And you're like, sure. And it's like so super easy, but
Right.
you can do everything right. And it's just for some reason you're not aligned, either one of you at that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think that's one of the things that you've done so well, Anne Marie, is making sure that people have those resources, making sure that people have access to the things if they're not quite ready. A lot of businesses sometimes aren't ready to provide those resources. But when people say provide value, that's actually what they mean. Provide some resources that would empower someone to get ready to be ready to work with you. Now, some people do that, and many, many, many people do not. Um,
Mhm.
but there are some examples. Now, some offer examples. Now, this first one that I'm going to read might feel super brosy and salesy, but see it as a one-off post inside of a sea of posts where I've already educated. This is me really breaking up one piece of that funnel because I want to see who in my audience is actively ready for this. I'm just getting people to raise their hands so I know who to talk to. So, an offer example, this is a super direct offer. Who's ready to make a business plan? Comment below and I will send you the details. Now, that's not me trying to be pushy. That's me weeding people out saying, hey, I want to talk to people who are ready and I'm going to send you the details. Learn more is an offer. Schedule a free discovery call. Sign up for XYZ. Okay. Any sharing or invitation to move forward in the know, like, and trust of you or what you provide is an offer. Now, I'm going to break down that storytelling offer really quick as well. Okay. You're going to take those pain points that you had with a personal experience, start telling a story. Then there's a light bulb moment. Sometimes we struggle to see where a light bulb moment was, but it was the tipping point that changed the way that you were doing something. Then you're going to talk about how it changed and why it changed, and then the new results, and then say, do you also want similar results? Okay, this is a very humanistic approach because you're putting your experience on the line. So if your audience is humanistic, this is a great way to make that offer and connect with them.
Storytelling is a wonderful way to connect with people, especially people like if I think about Lotus Group coaching. I mean, these are people that are on uncharted territories, so they don't know the stories. You know,
Yeah.
saying they don't know like that when you're coming out later in life, you have all kinds of emotions. They don't know what it's like to be in the queer community. And they don't know that there's a lot of grief coming out later in life. They don't, we talk about something in the later in life community called the second adolescence. They think there's something wrong with them because they're acting like a teenager. And it is documented scientifically that people go through something like that. And so if you're going to be working with people that are new to an experience that they've never had before, your storytelling, your sharing, your expertise about when you went through this experience really, really, really will guide people to you because they're like, oh, he or she gets it. They understand what I am talking about here. And so that's where storytelling is so powerful. It really is.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like just like what you're talking about, anybody who's embarking on something new, which if you're offering something, and even if they've done it with other people, this is something new. If they don't see the pathway, then we operate out of fear. How many of us like to know where we're driving in the car before we get in the car? Well, that's me. What's the address we're going to? If we don't know the pathway, that's really scary. So as experts, it's important we own the pathway that and the steps that we're providing to get people from where they are now to where they want to be.
So, Anna mentioned before, and this is one of the ways that I tell the story about how it is to work with me. I have testimonials. I have been collecting them for a long time, and my wonderful assistant makes them look really pretty. But collecting testimonials is a way to share the story of what it's like to work with me. Um, and another way it is to like to work with me and to work with purposeful empowerment is to have community. And honestly, community is part of what is my brand. And it's also a part of my offer because I really do believe we can change a lot of things when we are with other people who can understand the experience of these women right here are in the building process of building their own businesses. They are caregiving professionals and they're also heart centered entrepreneurs. Not all of them are queer, some of them are allies, and they are in this experience of building their offers, building their businesses with both myself and Anna. So, Anna and I really want to share with you right now a little bit about what we are offering since we taught you about how to make the offer today. And so, I am going to stop the screen share with the presentation, and I'm going to move to the next part of our um, offer building call to show you what we do. So, let me just share the screen, and here we go. I'm going to have to bend down here really quickly and get my charger for my computer because in about 2 seconds, I'm going to lose all power. And that's not going to be good. So, we really believe that purposeful empowerment has the four building blocks, maybe even five building blocks for starting and growing your own business. We really believe in the power of finding clarity. You need to find your clarity about basically who you are and who you're going to serve and what support and services you are going to provide. You're also going to have become more comfortable with visibility. There is a lot of ways that you can become comfortable with visibility. You do not just have to do social media, though you do have to have at least social media presence on one platform. You have to remember there's 8 billion people in the world. And so people are spread out of all over all social media platforms. You just have to become comfortable with one. But there's also other ways people have embrace visibility and good old fashioned in person networking, going to business events in your community, to also doing podcasts, appearing on podcasts. There's always we teach you how to have visibility. And then the next thing is really, I mean, although I have a really good foundation in it, Anna's going to talk about the importance of branding basics and having your own website.
Yeah, so we really make sure that you're clear on what you're offering and what are some of those nuances and how to share that. Because I personally believe that selling doesn't have to be selling, selling can be sharing. We're just sharing what we can do for you right now. And so making sure you're clear on how to share that and have the confidence to go and pull that into a sales conversation. Um, and then also, we will really look at making sure you're represented online. If you already have a website, that's great. We will look at how to improve that to make sure that you're having the conversations you need to have and make sure that that messaging aligns with what you actually offer and it actually shows them how you can solve those challenges for them. Okay. If you do not have a website, then we do have that in our premium offer down here, where we will actually build one for you at a spectacular cost for you or investment.
So the investment in your business is really important. Like every early entrepreneur, I did not want to spend any money on my business. And then what ended up happening is I had to do a lot of backtracking. So, for example, how I met Anna is when I built my own website, and you can do that. We recommend to do it on Squarespace if you can, because that's a super user easy website place. You can build it. If I can build it, you can build it. And I did build it on Squarespace, but I also realized that I really wanted to be found organically. And so I think to myself, well, if I had and hired a website builder in the beginning, then I wouldn't have had to spend a whole year like trying to learn something that's just not in my wheelhouse. And I talk about SEO a lot, which is search engine optimization. It's how they find you on all the search engines like Google, like Bing. That's how they find you. But I tried to play around with that for a year until I got frustrated, and that's when I hired Anna because I knew I needed to be found organically by that person who's up in the middle of the night and googling, "Am I a late in life lesbian?" or "Am I not straight?" or "Signs you're not straight?" All those questions like that. So I needed somebody to help me to do that, and I just didn't have. That's not in my wheelhouse. that's just not, and I'm okay with that. But it is in Anna's wheelhouse. So she really helped me get found on the internet by the work she did on my website, and as well as all the optimization she did of all the other work I did have. So in the beginning, you'll have a 90-minute clarity call with me. So as we define your goals and objectives, you also get a weekly 30-minute call with myself to keep you on track and motivated. I have other solopreneurs that I am working with. So we are going to have a monthly group support call, which we're going to talk about we're going to always do our goal, what we have achieved in the last month, because a lot of times we feel like we've had no momentum forward. And a lot of times, if you sit down for 15 minutes and write down everything you've achieved in the last month, you're sort of amazed, like how much you've gotten done. And we're also going to talk more about the emotional guidance and the aspects of the business. Like, you've noticed as you've listened to this presentation over the last 5 days, Anna and I always say, in the beginning, this is hard, or, that you'll get really comfortable with that. Like, so the thing is there's this universal human experience of opening your own business where you sort of have to go through, like, doing, getting comfortable with making an offer, learning not to take things personally, all those things that is really normal when you're opening a business. But a lot of times you don't know that if you haven't ever done that before. And then when we get through the factors of clarity and visibility, then Anna's going to step in and do some work with you around branding and websites.
Yeah, so we're going to have two 45-minute branding conversations. So we're going to really look at your brand identity. We're going to make sure that it's reflecting. We're going to look at the messages. We're going to make sure that it hits and lands in a way, not just for you that's clear, but for your audience that's clear. So bridging that gap that a lot of people who are starting their business or who are slow growing their business have to confront. Okay. The next one too is we're going to look at your website consultation, kind of like what I said. If you've got a website already, then we're going to review how to improve it and give you some suggestions. If you don't have one, then we'll talk about your goals and what that looks like if you wanted one. And we even have some other solutions if you're not quite ready to take that step. Okay. We're also going to really look. There is an online classroom that teaches you how to make a good offer and how to write the offer and blogging and training videos. But we are going to be having those two calls to review the offer and make sure you're set with that first storytelling post to go and share your offer to the world on that social media platform that you choose so that you can step into the value that you bring and the difference that you make, because you do. It's your idea to do these things that you do. And we want to empower you to be able to take those steps to make that difference.
And so we have figured out the cost of all of this. And Anna and I really have worked really super hard to make this affordable for people. And so if you went out and purchased all this stuff separately, it would be close to $18,000 to have all that we are offering. And so the cost of that is, without a website build, we are able to offer it for $5,997 or 3 installments of $19.99. And if you had a website build, because building a website right now is expensive. So if you did have a website build, and it would come almost up to $22,000. And so we're able to offer at a price of $8,496 or 3 installments of $28.32. And if you decide, you know what, I'm going to do this, I'm just going to commit, and you want to pay us in full, we have some really great bonuses for that. We are going to give you a visibility branding endorsement with both Anna and myself. So you'll be on our social media and also promoted on our email list. You will have a guest spot on Coming Out and Beyond podcast or Queer Business Success, which one you choose. And then also too, if you're someone who is thinking about doing group coaching, I have been running groups since 1998. So I am able to do a coaching audit with you and come to two of your first two coaching groups that you will have and give you advice, give you feedback, watch how you work with the people, and just really give you the moral support. So the first time that you are doing a coaching group, you will be confident that there's someone to help you if you start to get yourself in the weeds. And so as you go down the page, you'll find out about the rest of the stuff I've offer and also my testimonials. And Ann and I would be honored to share this business journey with you. And we are so excited that we got to spend some time here with you today.
Yeah, thank you so much for showing up for yourself, for making a difference in the world. It takes some courage, it takes some guts to say, hey, I see that there's something that's not there in the world, and I'm going to go and create that. And I think a lot of people don't acknowledge that part of themselves, but I really acknowledge you. Thank you for that difference that you make. And I'm really grateful that you're here to learn how to be better and to do better, because that is what is going to actually leave the world better than we came to it as. So just thank you so much. And Anne Marie, thank you for having me and thanks for collaborating on this. It's exciting to me because when I believe when many people come together to support many people, you can make that difference a little bit faster because you don't have to carry so much of the load by yourself. So just
Absolutely.
thank you for that difference. And we would love to see you in purposeful empowerment.
We would. Collaboration is wonderful when you have the right person. So thank you. We hope you have a great weekend. Please make an appointment with myself to talk about purposeful empowerment. And I'd love to hear about your business. I'd love to hear the plans of how you're going to change the world. So thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.